Phonograms are all around in all the words we see.
What did we do when we developed Raising Robust Readers to make it easier? Really for all readers, but especially for struggling readers. Let's look at the more research-based aspects of the program. It aligns with the best practices of the National Reading Panel, the National Right to Read Foundation, the International Dyslexia Association, and the National Center for Learning Disabilities. It uses Orton-Gillingham principles, and it is multisensory, direct, explicit, and systematic. Now, here's the less data-driven reasons. Raising Robust Readers includes an overlay that reflects the lived-it, in-the-trenches experiences, the common sense approach that sees things through practical lenses, the insight that grows from day in and day out struggles, and the instinct that forms from years of trial and error to create small steps that lead to success. So let's take another look at those individuals and those teaching characteristics. Decades of real life living with these characteristics and teaching to them has been embedded in every part of our phonics program. So let's look at what we did to change from those traditional approaches that we talked about earlier. First, we don't teach one letter, one sound decoding. We train the brain to see sounds in words, not just letters. And we do this by teaching phonograms.
Phonograms are all around, all around, all around. Phonograms are all around in all the words we see.
So let's go back to that word 8 that we tried to sound out unsuccessfully, one letter at a time, and look at the sounds in that word. Since the 4-letter phonogram says A and represents just that long A sound, we can see where there are just now 2 sounds in that word, and we can easily blend A, T, just a 2-sound word, and now it makes sense. So in contrast to sounding out words one letter at a time, when we see the sounds in words, that changes everything. Some phonograms make more than one sound. For instance, phonogram I can make 3 sounds. It, I, E, as in hit like a champion.
Hit like a champion, listen to me. I make 3 sounds, it, I, E.
I think this is a good time to stop and point out that although you may not have heard the term phonogram before, you intrinsically know them. Otherwise, you would not have been able to read the word wait, or you wouldn't have used all 3 sounds of I when you read the sentence hit like a champion. So let me emphasize here that you already know the basics of what you will be teaching. We just make you aware of what you already know, and we show you how to clearly teach this to your students. This chart shows the entire reading code. There are the 26 single-letter phonograms, the alphabet, plus the 46 multi-letter phonograms that complete the code that make up our English language. We train the brain to see the sounds in words. It doesn't matter how many letters there are. We actually start out with a consonant vowel consonant pattern as well, but instead of using a single letter vowel, A, E, I, O, U, that has more than one sound, we use a vowel buddy phonogram, which does not change over time. So let's take a look at this chart and compare the two. So on the left, we see the conventional short vowel sound in the middle, at, b, at, 3 sounds. Okay, on the right, we have the same pattern, we have the same number of sounds, but we're using multi-letter phonograms, in particular, in this case, vowel buddies, because each of them makes one sound, and that sound happens to be a long vowel sound, which children can normally easily say. So let's look at the one on the top. I, t, I-G-H says I. B, o, t, boat. Again, 3 sounds. Now in the last one, we have 3 sounds, but in the middle, here we have a 4-letter phonogram. Again, remember, 1 sound. So here we have t, a, t. So not only have we trained the brain to see sounds in the words, but we are also doing a successful blending, which later on will not cause confusion because IGH is going to say I, OA is going to say O, and AUGH is going to say ah. Okay? Now, what we see is that we have reliability, we have predictability, and we have consistency, which all go together to make for a successful blending experience. Now, of course, we use the various learning modalities, the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile, in our lessons. Each of the modalities is embedded in our easy-to-learn instruction and our fun-filled child-centered activities. So you can see, English really isn't a crazy language. It's phenomenally a well-structured language. I think the only thing crazy about English is the way it's taught. Let's take a look at another math analogy. Children learn and name the number 1. They learn and name the number 2. And then they learn, somewhere along the line, the name for number 12. Now, they don't call it 1, 2, just because that's in there. They've been taught 12, they accept 12. So, likewise, an A is an A, Y is Y, but AY is A. No difference between 12 and AY. You teach it matter-of-factly. So there really isn't a problem with confusion on this. The only reason our learners will stop at Z is if we stop at Z. They're eager to learn more than just the 26 letters. Once more advanced students have completed their phonogram instruction, we move on to syllables. Now the significance of the 6 syllable types, which are open, closed, magic E, bossy R, vowel bud, consonant E, is that they determine the sounds that vowels make. It takes the guessing and the insecurity out of attacking unfamiliar words. Is it a long vowel? Is it a short vowel? Is it another vowel? This makes it easy. So, likewise, when we teach a few guidelines on where to divide longer words, students can make the quantum leap into independent reading.